welcome back to Adventure Pete. It's glad to see you here. So if this is your first time here, make sure you like the video, comment, tell us what you think, tell us what else you want to hear about, and subscribe. We got a lot of great content already on the channel and a lot of more great content coming, so be sure to check it out. So here we are with our 2024 Chevrolet 2500HD LTZ. So we've had this truck for about 6 weeks now. We put about 600 miles on it. It has been a great truck for us. But one thing we have noticed is we have very small kids and it's very hard for them to get up in this truck. So today we're going to put side steps on this brand new truck. So stay tuned. We chose to contact our friends over at boostauto.com because they have a reputation for OEM quality parts to last just like this truck is going to. They also have a lot of great custom options like these steps as well, and it's a hassle-free install. What makes these steps custom is they are aluminum, so they're not going to rust out after a couple years like the steel steps that you find on the market. They also have lights that you can get down the side as a special feature. These ones have a sequential signal with a running light. And we also chose the optional feature of a startup sequence. So they will have a special sequence every time the truck starts up to show you're there. They come with all the parts you need for this installation. You have the bracket covers and hardware installation right there. You have the wiring harness for these steps to tie them into your factory harness. These wiring harnesses are plug and play. They are sealed connections and an inline fuse holder. So there's no extra electrical parts needed and nothing you have to do on the electrical side. They come with the heavy duty step brackets for mounting these steps so they're strong and supported underneath the truck. You have your bracket hardware and your step hardware. And then we also chose for the optional plug and play harness. So that way there is no splicing needed to tie into this truck. So it will look like a factory install. So be sure to check out boostauto.com for all your special automotive needs. First thing we have to do is mount the brackets. GM does a nice job of giving you all the threaded holes you need, just covered up by plastic tabs you got to pull out. Tabs we got to pull out are this one right there, these ones right here, these ones right here next to the mount, and up front we've got that one and that one as well. So they're pretty simple. It's already done there, so all we got to do is pull those tabs out to be able to install the brackets. So all it takes to get these push pins out is take a flathead screwdriver or any kind of screwdriver and push underneath there. We also have a push pin tool that we use to get underneath the head and simply just pull it out. Pops out just like that. You can see it's already got a threaded hole in there, so our hardware will go right into it. We just got to do that across each side, so 8 caps on each side. It'll be ready to go. What we have here is our hardware package. So I get them set up to ready to go, so when I need to put in the brackets, I just grab a bolt set and ready to go. So we have our bolt. Lock washer goes on just like that, and then we have our fender washer that goes on right behind that. That is the order in which the hardware goes for installation. I like to go through and assemble all the bolts and hardware as I need them. So all I have to do when I'm putting in brackets is just grab a bolt set, throw it in, and I'm ready to go. Now that we've got all our hardware sorted out, it is time to hang the brackets. So these brackets have slots in vertically and horizontally, so they are able to be adjusted as needed. So we're going to take our bolt set and just spin it in very loosely on all the brackets. The reason we're doing this is that way once we get all the brackets aligned and get them on the step, we can tighten it down to make sure everything is in their correct place. Because sometimes if you tighten a bracket that's not square or out of place, things don't line up. So we're going to tighten them all just hand tight so we can put everything together and then tighten it up at the end. So all we're doing right now is just loosely hanging them all and getting them ready. Just like that. Now we just got 7 more to go. Now that is all 4 brackets loosely installed right here on the passenger side. Next thing to do is go over to the driver's side and repeat the same steps of the process and get ready to hang the boards. Before the steps get fully installed, these bracket covers need to get fed on. They go simply just on like that, right in the pocket. Push pins go in the hole like that, and you pop them in and they will look just like that. After those are done, Next step is installing the step. So now we've all securely mounted all our steps to the truck. They're all just finger tight, so when we install the steps, we can tighten them down the rest of the way and they're ready to go. So now I took the hardware package for the steps and laid it all out nice and neat. This is the passenger side step. The key note is the electronic module for controlling the light strip on these steps needs to always be on the forward end of the truck, which is right below the label right here on the board. The way these steps are attached is they are on a T-nut slot. So these are the slots right here on the bottom of the step. These are the T-nuts that you can see that look like a T that go in this slot. To get these nuts in the slot, you simply go down to this end of the step, and there is a notch cut into the slot so that T-nut can go in there. So now we're going to put 4 nuts on each slot because there are 4 brackets. And then we are going to bring it over to the step brackets on the truck, and then we'll spread them out as we need to fit in all the slots and go from there. Once we do that and we align it on the step side of the truck, we will install washers and lock nuts and nuts on each individual stud and tighten it all down. When installing the steps, I found it easiest to set it on the bracket behind it, adjust and locate these in the right spot all the way down the line on their slots, top and bottom. That way allows you to tip them all in to get them all lined up, and then tip just like that, in which you can adjust location side to side and forward and back to get them in their place. After that, you put the screws and nuts in from the bottom side and you're good to go. Now that we've got the step just sitting on the brackets, it is adjustable. You can slide it in or out. I like to have my steps all the way in, and then you can adjust it forward, backwards. I like to set my front edge of the step right up here at this gap, and at the back side it turns out very nicely. So it is very flexible depending on what your application is for your vehicle. Once we have everything in place and we align the step forward and backwards where we want it, we're going to take our washer, then our lock washer, washer on, then the lock washer, and then we'll take our nut and put it on in that order, run it up in there. We'll do that for every bracket all the way down, and then we take our 10mm socket. A deep wall helps to get more access up in the pocket, and with our ratchet you can do this with a 10mm boxed end wrench. It just takes a little bit longer. Once you get it in, you can tighten it up and you're good to go. You do that through all the bolts on both sides. The next step of the process is to tighten down all the bolts on these brackets as they go down the frame. So it is time to use a 13mm socket and ratchet. You can do this with a box end wrench. It just takes a little bit more time. Simply just go on there and start tightening them up. Just go down the line until they're all tight, bottom ones and side ones. Passenger side has been done and mounted. So far, very happy with how it looks. The back end of this we had lined up right here with this cab body line, and then following it down all the way to the front, we had it lined up with this gap right there. That works perfectly on the end. So far, these steps look very nice on the truck, and they blend in with all the features and black accents very well. So far, so good. Preparation of the driver's side step is the same as the passenger side. So the module is always on the forward facing end of the truck. You can see the light strip right here. And then on the very opposite end is where our T-slots are to run our T-nuts in. Same thing, 4 on each side. We will evenly space them out and then set it on the truck to be installed, just like that. So right here, I have both of our harnesses laid out. Down on this end, you see the connectors that will go into the step modules. You follow it up the line here. And this is the jumper that goes across that ties the two systems together for power and ground with your inline fuse and power and ground connections. And up at the front, you've got your connector that ties into the quick connect harness adapter. So this will tie in right at the back side of our headlights to make the system easy, as in plug and play. And that's all it is, laid out right there. So now that we got the hood open, we need to run the harness. Headlight is actually right there. You don't even have to pull the fender well out to get access to it. That little black convoluted tubing that my light's shining at, that is the headlight connector. So we're going to connect and splice in right there. And then through the inside of this inner fender well, we're going to run along the back side. Then right down there, we're going to push it through, and that is the ground right below. So we're going to run underneath that bulkhead, and that'll come out right down by the step. So that way this wiring harness stays out of the way of all of our engine components. As a note, when we're disconnecting from the headlight harness, we need to make sure that that red lock tab gets pulled out of the way. Then we can pinch it and then pull it out. Otherwise it will not come out without breaking it. So to get the harness down to the step, we just simply took the harness and started just pushing it down the back black hole that is back there. And it started coming out. Once we got so far, it eventually started coming out the bottom. And this will tie into the step and secure the wires, and it'll be ready to go. So we now have the wires plugged in here at the module. Everybody has their own preferred method of securing cabling. Mine is the use of zip ties in a healthy amount, and this is how I did it. Ran it up, down, and around here, and then it goes up into the black hole of the inner fender well, where it runs up to the upper engine bay. So I routed it this way so it's out of the way, and I like to start at the bottom for securing harness and work my way up, because that way I don't have harness hanging down here in the way and possibly getting caught by a branch or a stick or anything else in between, so I can secure it up in the engine bay where it is safe. The driver's side harness is run very similar to what we did with the passenger side harness. Right up and around. The only difference is kind of the sub body. Just like that, but we still went up and down through the same fender cavity that we did on the passenger side. The driver's side bucket harness is not able to be reached from the top with this washer fluid reservoir in the way. So to get to that one, we are going to have to pull the inner fender well out just back a little bit to be able to access the plug on the headlight. This part's fairly easy. We take our T15 Torx, screw right there, screw right there, there, and there, and then this one right here does help to get out of the way, and then we'll pull this fender back and allows us access to the headlight bucket. Once this is out of the way, just like that, you can see the connector right there. The red tang is on the top. We'll pop that out, install the plug and play harness, and keep on routing wires. So once I made the connections to the driver side harness to the headlight assembly, I ran those wires back along. This is the long pigtail that comes off that lead to go across. Came down underneath this fuse box. I actually went underneath this cross. Remember, you can reach your hand underneath there. And this is the harness right here. Had it come back up and around and follow the factory harness. That way it looks as clean as possible. And then once it comes over here, it goes down, follows around the airbox, and then on this cavity right here meets up with the passenger side harness that has the pigtail that it connects into. And I did have some extra cable on this side, so I tied it up underneath the horns just below down there so it's out of the way, and that left me with just running power and ground. I just took the power and ground, went back underneath that cross member, grounded right here on the battery box stud, and then ran the power wire back down and around, just electrical taped it to that harness that I already ran, and then tied it right onto just an available stud that I had right here. If you had an extra nut, you can tie it into one of these studs and be self-sustaining, but I just tapped off one that was already there. Not a big deal, and that's how I ran the electrical system on these running boards. So pretty simple. I think it laid out pretty nice. It looks pretty factory, so there's nothing in the way. You could have ran that harness instead of along the back side. You could have ran it down this front cross member right here and tied it in here as well. But I chose to keep it back on the back by the factory harness and go that route. So we currently have the headlights on for the truck, and you can see running boards are on. So that's just the regular running light, just an amber. And this side is also on as well. So now we go through and test turn signals, make sure all that stuff is working as well. Just gonna go right over here. Left turn. And there we go. Shows it is strobing to match driver's side. So that side is working as it should. So the last thing we gotta do is check to see if we got a right hand turn. That one is kicked back to just regular being on. That one is working. And there we go. That shows we have just finished our install. Everything is working as it should. And now we're going to test startup sequence to make sure that's working as well. Alright, that is the startup sequence. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. That was the full install of the Boost Auto LUMASTEP M1 running boards for the 2024 Chevrolet 2500HD with the LTZ package. So, we used a couple basic hand tools, but it's easy to do. Obviously, you can see we did it right here in our driveway. So, be sure to like the video, comment, tell us what you think, tell us what else you want to hear about, and subscribe. We got a lot of great content coming, a lot of great content on the page already. So, be sure to have a great event.